People are hollering. Outside hollering. Swipe your cares away. Clap, clap. Let's see. What do we want? What's crush? Ooh. No. Let's use this time to find the right filter for this evening's festivities. 8mm looks a bit red. It's kind of cool though. I can dig it. I can dig it. We're gonna go with 8mm tonight. That's how we're gonna do this. That's how we're gonna floss this. What's up, ego? Hello. Looks like YouTube is being speedy as always and getting these notifications out to people. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. 1 minute and counting. Oh, usually these are okay, but I guess it's things are starting to happen now. Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. I'm a cool guy. Hell yeah, I'm a cool guy. You know it. Man. I went way too long without burning no incense, man. I used to love incense in my 20s. I used to burn it all the time in my pad. I just got like a variety pack of incenses. I'm trying them out. I spy the oil painting. Yeah, it's back there. Thought you died. Sucks. Damn. Don't worry, soon. Soon, my friend. Soon, all will be given to you. Everything you ever wanted. 'Tis but a matter of time. Late notifications. I mean, that's the way the game works now. Sometimes I'll start these and like it's full like within a minute. Sometimes it takes 3 minutes before anybody shows up. And then all of a sudden everybody's here. That's the way it works. Where's my monocle? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't wear any monocles. New Valve headset called the Valve Index is coming out in May. Hopefully a new game. The Valve Index? They're trying to sell a headset now? Anybody have a Steam controller? Did anybody buy that? Anybody buy a Steam controller? Loving the Sekiro gameplay. Would love to see more. Also, hi. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it. It's just, you know, it's too subject to trolling, and like I don't want to have to fake reactions to shit. People are just being dumb. I think from now on, I'll just do it for patrons because they didn't even venture into that territory. But yeah, it's just unfortunate, you know, but it's one of those things. I don't feel like policing the chat all hardcore and shit, so one of them things. Hello, asbestos fingers. Yeah, it was way more like, I don't know, it was just way better with just the patrons. I mean, I'm starting to think that that's probably the best filter. It's kind of like my version of, you know, when a Twitch streamer turns on sub-only mode. Like, there's a reason they do that. There's a reason that option exists. And I spend a lot of my time with sub-only mode not on, but when it comes to the video game shit, I guess that's how I'll have to do it. Just stream those games to the patrons so that it's not just like every step of the way ruined. Cops pulled a dead body out of the stream by the bike path behind my house. Cool. Cool. Did you get any pictures? What do you think? Some people spend a vast amount of their time trolling people like it's a career or something. I've never understood it. I don't know, man. I mean, some people might just like be bored and like seeing other people be frustrated. You know, the drive-by occasional trolling. There are literally, though, some people out there who exist only to get any kind of negative feedback from anybody, because they can't get, like, literally nobody will even look across the street to check them out, you know? Like, the real world has nothing for them. So any kind of negative reaction that they can get, if they feel like they can impart a negative feeling onto another person, then I guess it's like almost proof that they exist. That kind of loneliness just makes me sad, yeah. It would make me sad if I didn't have to wallow in the fucking side effects of it constantly. Like, I wish lonely people could find something else to do than bother other lonely people. Hope I didn't open the troll floodgates with that comment. There's no such thing as the troll floodgates here. They're always wide open. It could happen at any time. Anytime, any second it could happen. You just got to be prepared. Favorite type of soda, also illegal immigrants botched TJ's car earlier today. What? Heard a lot of people who are bullies because it gives them a sense of control they don't have in their own lives. Man, that's part of why people troll. I mean, they're certainly linked, like, you know, trolling and bullying or whatever. I mean, trolling is just more accessible bullying, because bullying, you've got to have, like, the mouth, and you've got to have the big old ham-sized fists, you know, to back it up. On the internet, you get to remove one of those. You can just have the mouth. There's no way to reach through the internet and pop somebody in the mouth, so it kind of ennobles a lot of people to act in ways that they would never step out of line and act in their normal lives. And in one way, you know, separating myself from the negativity and, like, the frustration of dealing with it and cleaning up after it, I mean, I guess I wouldn't deny it to them. I mean, what else would they have? Oh, I guess on one hand, I wouldn't deny it to them, and on the other hand, maybe if you did, they would go find something more constructive to do with their time. So maybe denying it to them is what they need somebody to do. You know, a profound amount of these people are just kids whose parents aren't looking over their shoulders like they should be. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of it, and I think that you can kind of get dragged into it. You can kind of get dragged into thinking like that's all there is. It can be hard sometimes, especially with the type of audience that I court. YouTube did the same thing with super chats that states did with funding for public university. They tried to placate you with an inferior way of financing your education via scholarship. I mean, yeah, it's a tried and true method, right? Take away one system that was fair and equitable to the people involved and replace it with a half-assed version and tell everybody it's new and improved, right? If it wasn't illegal, I'd just put these trolls on blast, dox the fuck out of them. What about doxing is illegal? Can you explain to me what statute there is that protects you from having somebody say your real name if they find it out? I mean, I'm not a doxer. I don't like the whole idea of doxing, but I've never read a statute or a law that says that you can't. Yeah, I mean, in order for somebody to dox you, they have to find a publicly available source of information about you that links one account to that. If you leave that behind on the internet, then I don't know what to tell you, bro. People's addresses and names are public info. This is true. This is true. Freeze peach. Huh? When did this become a freeze peach argument? Wow, dude, the blankness of blank loves me. I feel complete. I've been completed. Was your mind blown after your first viewing of Hellraiser? Dude, I had nightmares about Hellraiser. I watched Hellraiser when I was young, like 7, 8, something like that. I watched Hellraiser 1 and 2. Fuck yeah, dude. Have not gotten to go see Us. I wanted to go yesterday, but I just didn't feel like it. Like when the time came to put up or shut up and go or not go, I was just like, let's not. How about we don't? But I will. I'll get a chance to see it. See the trailer for the Hellboy remake? No, I've seen some promotional shots and some real short clips. I don't know, dude. I don't really go out there seeking trailers. I'll watch them if I'm in the movie theaters and stuff, but this whole like watching trailers thing has lost a lot of its magic for me. I like to just every once in a while a trailer will come along that really like harkens back to the good old days of a great teaser trailer that was pretending like a great movie on the horizon. And you know, I'll see like Us was one of those movies. Like Us's trailer was just like a mastercraft in trailer work. Like it just, I don't know, it was just a great trailer. But most trailers are just trying to hype up something that isn't really there. Insight on personality disorders. If you want to ask specific questions, I can answer them. Did you see the trailer for the remake of Child's Play? Yes, that I have seen. Movie trailers are long now because they don't have to play in the actual movie theaters. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the last Avengers movie, whatever it's going to end up being called, I'll go see it. I'm hoping that Thanos is given the same treatment he was given in the movie that preceded it. Hoping he's given a good send-off, because for me, it's the send-off to the Marvel Cinematic Universe for a few years. So I've just made the decision that, like, I'm tired of bitching about how many superhero movies are going on out there. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this arc because I've seen. I mean, it's been like over 10 years watching these films. You know, they're all culminating in this one final film. So I'll go see that, and then when they come out with this rebooted universe or whatever, that'll be for everybody else to go watch. I'm not interested at all. Nebula will kill Thanos. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, isn't that how it happens in the comic books? Favorite Hootie and the Blowfish song? I Only Want to Be With You. Have you ever seen the new Twilight Zone trailer? Yes. I saw a teaser for it. I haven't seen, like, if there's a big, long trailer for it, I haven't. I've seen teasers for it, though, and it looks... I'll go check it out. Big Pimpin' Spendin' Cheese. It's not spend the cheese. It's not spin the cheese, dude. It's Big Pimpin' Spendin' Cheese. It's not spin the cheese. Come on, buddy. What would spin the cheese even mean? Paul, on Flash Friday this week, you accused robocalls of giving you anxiety when your phone rings. Does putting yourself in front of a live internet audience not produce a similar feeling? It doesn't. I think a lot of I developed that kind of phone anxiety at my last job. I had something like an on-call job for my last job when I worked for the school district, because I was the systems administrator for 3 different schools. In addition to all the other bullshit that I did. So if something went wrong on a weekend or something and I was off, and, you know, there was some fucking faculty thing going on and the internet goes down, it's my phone. And it was just constant, you know. And like when you're the tech guy, I would not give teachers and clients my phone number unless they were at the top of the fucking heap, right? Like the school superintendent had my phone number, had my direct line. you know, his secretary, the principals at each of my schools. But like, I had a very hard and fast rule about giving out my cell phone number to teachers, because I would just be constantly picking up my phone every hour of every day and night, all weekend. It would never stop. But eventually my cell phone leaked out. I'd say after the first year or so, and teachers were pissed at me that I wouldn't give it to them, because the dude that was the tech before me, apparently was like on call for them 24/7. And teachers, when I first started working there, they were pissed that I would not give them my cell phone number. But it's like, the school district does not pay for my cell phone. They do. It's not in my fucking job description that I'm supposed to be on call or reactive to cell phone calls. There's a help desk for that. If you've got a problem, put it in the help desk and I'll come to you in the order that you're needed to be seen, you know. And I had to establish that. But even so, my phone would leak out and 3 or 4 teachers at each site would have it, and it'd be blown up constantly. My boss would be calling me constantly. Other people on my team would be calling me constantly for favors or questions or clarifications, or because they needed help here or there. And it became like, every time my phone rang, I was just like, fuck. You know, that feeling like, oh. And that became like a deep-seated kind of anxiety, that when my phone, like, if it buzzes, or like it's in my pocket and I feel it ringing, or I wake up to it ringing, or somebody just calls me out of the blue, it's just fucking, there's nothing I can do too, because you kind of have to have one these days to be as in touch as people expect you to. But if, I swear to God, dude, I would take this thing. If I didn't have those types of obligations, I would take this thing and smash it with a hammer right now and never use it again. I like literally long for the days when I wasn't constantly able to be contacted by everybody that's ever met me. My dad's an IT guy for a law firm, and same shit. Sometimes he gets a call and he has to be in the next state or a different branch within a day. Yeah, I mean, I was never that bad. I wasn't flying to different states and shit, but you know, weekends were always an anxiety-filled time with me, because it was like, am I actually going to get a day off, or am I going to end up out at one of my sites supporting some fucking teacher conference I didn't know was happening because nobody told me? You ever considered writing an autobiography? Yeah, sort of. I'm kind of in the process of fleshing out an autobiographical work. I don't know if it'll be like a full autobiography, but it's definitely autobiographical in nature. Tell us about the first time you tried cocaine. You have to have a story. You always do. I don't always have a story about everything. It's been a long time since I did cocaine. The first time I tried it, I was with a group of friends. We were at a party. So with a bunch of people that we normally weren't around. It was a party in Fresno. I didn't do like a giant rail. I did a little bump of coke. It was okay. I'd say in my early 20s, I did it a couple more times, just kind of recreationally here and there if I found it at a party. There's not really a whole lot of great stories. You know, I would love to have some crazy doughboy, you know, National Lampoon story where I accidentally snorted something that I wasn't supposed to snort that I thought was coke, and I ended up in the you know, whatever. Just didn't work out that way. I just took the drugs and had a good time. Took meth once and got a panic attack though. I took meth once, and I wouldn't say that it gave me a panic attack. It just felt like I was having a panic attack for about 12 hours. So definitely not a drug I decided to dip back in for a second try of. I was 16, I think, when I tried meth. What's your favorite Beatles song? Mine is Strawberry Fields Forever. Mine's probably Norwegian Wood, if I had to pick one. If you're going to put a gun to my head and make me pick one. I wanted a girl, and she wanted me. You have a favorite Primus song? I don't know. Not really. I had a bunch of friends that were super into Primus. I was into Primus enough to go see them live with that group of friends, but I was never a big, like, Primus head. I'd listen to it, but I don't know that I have a favorite. I don't have a favorite of a lot of things, to be honest with you. American Muscle fan or a JDM fan. I don't even know who that is. So there you go. I guess the answer is neither. I don't know who nor what that is. You listen to Les Claypool's stuff with Sean Lennon? I think I've heard it. It's been a long time. I haven't. I don't really have a take on it because it's been so long. I loved the new DFF on Patreon. It was hilarious. I'm glad you liked it, man. I smoked a joint the other day and realized everything on social media and the news we worry about is completely meaningless and a waste of time, dude. That same thing happened to me, honestly. It's time to get hashtag deep for a second. I watched this video. Can't remember who made it, but I think it's called a time lapse of the end of existence or something like that. And it's literally just like a kind of it's a 30-minute video that is one long uninterrupted kind of collection of really cool looking 3D models of what's going to happen as the universe, as entropy slowly but surely tears the universe to shreds and creates disorder where there is order. We're talking about like trillions of trillions of trillions of trillions of years in the future, when all of the stars in the galaxy have long since gone, turned to white dwarves and then black dwarves, and then even that matter is torn apart by the forces of entropy. And, it just goes on and on and on. It's 30 minutes of uninterrupted, like the timeline keeps running at the bottom. Yeah, there you go. Time lapse of the future, a journey to the end of time. Thanks, Coleman. Yeah, if you want to like just sit down and smoke a doob and watch something that's going to make you wonder why you ever worry about anything, watch that. And it comes to a conclusion that I think is very scary for a lot of people, but to me it was beautiful. Like, it talks about one possible end for the galaxy, assuming that a dark matter radiates energy just like every other energy source does, dark energy. Then it too will eventually dissipate, and the entire universe will all come to the same exact temperature. And this is a direct quote from the piece. It says, everything slowly but surely reaches the same temperature, and nothing ever happens, and it never happens forever. So that's like one very, very possible and very probable end to our universe, is that at the end of it all, we're talking quadrillions of years into the future, there's literally not one speck of matter left anywhere in our universe. It is just an empty, lightless, soundless void. And to me, like a lot of people, that I think that's a scary or a depressing thought, but to me that's amazing. What would you give to visit that place? To be the only thing that could observe that infinite, unending blackness. To go there and exist in abject silence and abject darkness, and to know that there's literally not a single other fucking thing on the planet. To quote Carl from Aqua Teen, it doesn't matter, none of this matters. Oh, cool. How did you feel when you first learned about G.G. Allen? I was disgusted by him. I think that's typically like the reaction people have when they first hear about G.G. Allen, first see some of the things he did and hear his philosophy and listen to his music. I was repulsed by him, I actually think, and I want to give credit where it's due. No, I'm trying to remember who it was that put me on to G.G. Allen. Part of me wants to say it was Hardcase. So I remember being in one of his hangouts late at night, and he was talking about G.G. Allen, and I remember going and checking shit out. And just being like utterly repulsed. I mean, I still am, for the most part, utterly repulsed by G.G. Allen, but I've come to appreciate his ultra counterculture stance. What did he do? I don't know who he is. He was like a scum punk rock guy that was known for just being filthy and self-degrading and degrading to his audience. He would throw shit. He would eat shit. He would, you know, pee on people and kick people in the face at his shows. And it was just like a very like hardcore underground punk rock savage type of guy. Yeah, Carmelo's a total savage. Yeah. I've seen pictures from his funeral and some of the footage. I haven't sat and watched the whole funeral video, but I've seen some of it. It's absolutely none of my business how you conduct your life, but that picture behind you, it looks like an elderly person spying in a small window. That's me. That's me back there, spying on myself. I heard that behind the scenes, he was a very cool person. If you were a dickhead to him, he was a dickhead, but if you were nice, he was nice. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've heard all kinds of stories about G.G. Allin from all kinds of different angles. You know, there were people that said that he was just like wild and that he'd be cool one minute and punching you in the face the next minute. I've heard that angle on him, that he was actually kind of a gentle dude and just kind of cool and chill. And I've heard, I think a lot of how G.G. Allin was in his personal life has been lost to time now. He was definitely severely deranged. Maybe he was. Maybe he was just smarter than the average bear. Maybe he was just trolling. You ever think of that? That little boy. That's all I see. Whoa. Dinor. Could you take the clickety-clack somewhere else, bro? Or find a spot for that bone and just lay down and chew it? Is your mom the only person who calls you Peaches? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's the only one that calls me that on a regular basis. May I call you Peaches? Sure, I don't give a fuck. No, Ashley doesn't call me Peaches. That's a mom nickname for sure. But I don't give a shit. I'll answer to it just like my real name. I've been probably called that more than Paul in my life, honestly. I just got ran over by a car dealer while I was detailing my car on my job. I'm planning on suing the dealer. Should I sue the whole company? Talk to a lawyer, man. What do I look like? Do I look like a guy that's got legal advice coming out of his ears? Go fucking call a lawyer. I don't know what you should do. Yeah, I've had a bunch of major surgeries. I had a pilonidal cystectomy, gynecomastia surgery when I was like 13. Had my gallbladder removed. I've had several spinal infusions of cortisone. I've been under the knife a few times. There's a well-known hooker in my town named Peaches. Cool. We'll hit her up. See if she lives up to the name. I could eat a peach for hours. I feel bad for Paul sometimes. I feel bad for all of you all the time. Here's my weekly tithe. Take it and buy some pan. Hey, thanks, bro. I appreciate it. If all of the rest of you watching right now gave me a weekly tithe, I could start the cult tomorrow. I never had a surgery ever. Well, wisdom teeth, that's not a major surgery, no. Yeah, I'm basically only like 98% human now because I've had so many things cut out of me. Why did you have the surgery at 13? Gynecomastia. I've talked about it before. Bitch tits, dude. I was growing moobs. And so the doctors interceded, and most painful surgery was the gallbladder removal surgery, but it wasn't really just that. So when they do gallbladder removal now, they do it laparoscopically, which means they make a couple, I think it's 2 or 3 incisions for different implements on your torso, and they stick it in there with a camera, and then most of the surgery is done through your belly button. Well, when they went in to open me up through my belly button, they found what's called an umbilical hernia there that I didn't even know I had. For some people, it gets like gigantic, and it's obvious that they have one. But I just had a tiny little like umbilical hernia like inside of my belly button somewhere. And the doctor was like, well, we're gonna have to fix that when we close it up. And that ended up being the most painful surgery I've ever had. That hernia surgery. It was like, when the doctor told me that, like, well, the recovery time for this is usually just a few days, but we had to repair a hernia on your belly button, and that's probably going to take several weeks. And it was like awful. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't sit, I couldn't stand, I couldn't lay down. I was just in pain. So I had an opiate prescription, and I just sat around all day. I actually had 2 different drugs that I was taking. One of them, I wish I could remember what it was, because it was one of the craziest drugs I was ever on. One was just an opiate, like Vicodin or Percocet or something. And one was some kind of sleep drug, because I wasn't able to sleep with it. And so I would take, a Vicodin, and then I'd take that sleep drug right after it. And I would sit at my computer and like surf the internet or play a game or something. And it was like I would lapse in and out of consciousness, but the dreams I would have were exactly like what I was doing in the real life. So it's like if I was looking at a web page or something, I would like, and at some point it became completely indecipherable to me whether or not it was Zoidipim. That's exactly what it was, or Zoldipim. Yep, that's exactly Zolpidem. That's exactly what it was. That drug was nuts, dude. I guess in concert with the Vicodin that they gave me, it was just like, yeah, it was like every night I would sit at my computer and I would not even know, like, it would be, not only was I not sure whether I was awake or dreaming, but I wasn't sure what day it was or what time it was or how many days I'd been sitting there, or whether it was just one session. It all just kind of blended together. You start to look forward to taking the drugs, or was it a nightmare? I mean, it was a nightmare because the drugs were there to just barely take the edge off of what was constant, like, nagging pain that would, like, light up anytime I moved, anytime I changed positions. I mean, you don't understand, like, how much of your muscle structure is right here in your diaphragm, and how many muscles and shit are tied to that area. It's like breathing hurt, coughing was like agony, sneezing was like agony, getting up, sitting down, terrible. Terrible. So yeah, that was definitely the most painful surgery to recover from. The only one that would even come remarkable, like even close to it, would be the pilonidal cystectomy. And that one was painful for the first couple of weeks of recovery, but got better and just became more like a drug dream. So like the first couple of weeks, I was taking so many painkillers that I barely remember anything from it. I just remember being in constant agony, having to be helped to the bathroom and in the shower, having to be helped to clean myself. Just like I couldn't do anything. I was just completely inert with the pain. And then, but it like that only lasted for a couple of weeks. And whatever they had me on, whatever like opiate they put me on for that was way stronger than what I got for the gallbladder surgery. And so I was able to take that and basically just be on planet Xenon for 12 hours at a clip, you know. And when I started becoming aware of the vaguest insinuation of pain, I'd pop another one of those fucking horse pills and just laying on my stomach playing old NES games. Yeah. So that one was probably a way more invasive surgery, and the recovery time was longer, but I don't remember it being as painful. It is also farther in my past, though, so take that with a grain of salt. That cyst story is really crazy. Yeah, I haven't really met a whole bunch of people who have had them, and I've never met anybody who had one as bad as mine. So I've seen some pictures on the internet of really bad pilonidal cystectomies and whatever that look like mine did, but I've never actually bumped into somebody. You have one, yeah. I mean, and the sucky thing about it is that they can do all that surgery and it comes right back. Like mine is back. Like I don't. It's not back in a way that causes me any pain or whatever, but like it's still there. It doesn't go away. It's like a part of your genetic makeup or whatever that's written wrong. What if the food at the Big Chief actually sucks? Man, that's going to be a disappointment. But whatever. There's a bar there. There'll be some liquor, you know. You seen the show Dr. Pimple Popper? Nope, that does not sound like something I would even accidentally click on. My brother has had it on and off since 16, yeah. I mean, that's usually the way it goes, man. I had mine. I started like noticing mine in my early teens, like 13 or 14 or something like that. And I went until 21 and did nothing with it. And it would flare up and be bad for a few days, and then it would go away. And I just thought, you know, whatever. I had a pimple or something back there that would, but it was horrible, man. Yeah, dude, it's fucking insane. It's nuts. I have had heel spurs. I actually had plantar fasciitis once, which is like the meat of your heel separates from the bone of your foot. And that was fucking fucked. That was like crutches and wheelchair status for a few weeks. Is that where you put the camera up your hello darling? Yes. List your ailments. I pretty much have, I think, now. That's how Paul got out of the draft. Yeah, that's how I skipped it, dude. That's how I got out. What's the deal with the filter? I don't know what you're talking about, man. There ain't no filter. I was in a car accident that broke almost all my strongest bones, and I was in a wheelchair for a year. It sucked, yeah. Yeah, my parents were in a, well, I was in the car accident with them, but my parents got munched by a car accident when I was young. Munched, munched, munched. How would you want to die? Nobody gets to pick that, man. There's no good way to die. We all die alone. Can't believe we ever thought you'd join the Marines in that flash fried intro story, Paul. Can't believe you were such suckers. Have you ever felt like your life is a movie, lol? No. Paul, the color hue is red. Give it some Metagel. Okay. What's the best factor that has contributed? The biggest factor in life that has contributed to your depression? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I had this disease before I had any right to have it. You know, I'm not one of those kids that got it after their parents got divorced or something. I had this as a kid. So I'd say genetics, probably. It sounds, you know, mental illness runs pretty strong on both sides of my parents' families. I mean, I don't know what to tell you there. Some of us are just prone to that shit, man. Some of us just end up with it. Going back to that picture on your wall, that was one of my favorite videos you ever did. It encapsulated the inner voices you hear as a depressed person beautifully. Yeah, I mean, I was just reading the narrative of my head out loud, basically. Just as those thoughts would happen, I would speak them. It's actually a part of therapy that was really helpful to me in the early parts of my talk therapy. How surprised will you be when you realize your consciousness continues after death? Yeah, that's a trick question, my friend. A window, it echoes in my mind. Who painted that? A guy out of Great Britain named David Cardew painted it. Experts believe that psychological disorders are caused at age 0 to 6. Well, there you go. IV morphine is one of the most addictive drugs on earth. I know why, because I've had it one time. Well, maybe twice. The most memorable time was when I went in with the gallbladder pain and I was having a gallbladder attack or whatever they call it. Gastrocolitis or some shit like that. And they, you know, were able to give me something to put the inflammation down and give me a giant shot of intravenous morphine. And it was like, this is ground control to Major Paul. We've really got it made. And we're floating in a most peculiar way. It was just like instant. And it was like, it wasn't like, okay, I can feel this building, all right. It wasn't like they show in the movies where it's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, oh, okay, starting to feel it now. It's not like that. It was like, shoop, and I was like, this is ground control to Major Paul. I was just like, every problem I had just went. All my depression, all my anxiety, every worry I had about anything in my life was just worry about the pain I was in and whether or not I was going to be okay. All the little weird idiosyncrasies that keep my mind chewing on itself constantly just stopped all at once, just immediately. Just, and all of a sudden it was just like Paul there. I was like, oh. Very strange. Reminds me of when I got my wisdom teeth taken out and I remember walking in the room, laying down on the chair and waking up. I'm pretty sure I just said, did it even happen yet? Yeah, sometimes a couple of my surgeries have felt that way. All of them have this very worrying thing that's actually kind of like it's become comforting to me. You go into the room, you're in your hospital gown and shit with your little hat on, your booties and your dress, and you're naked underneath there, you know. And usually the doctors will, like, there was one surgery they had to do with me on my side, and so they, you know, have me lay on my side, and then they just put a mask over your face. You know, they're like, all right, we're gonna put this on your face here, and I want you to do me a favor. I want you to count backwards from 30. It's always that for me. I want you to count backwards from 30. And I'm like, all right, 30, 29. I mean, that's how I remember it. It's like I start counting and I'm just gone. And then I wake up like not knowing how many hours it's been, wondering if it's over, wondering if I'm in the middle of it. And usually there's a nurse right there when you wake up, and that's how it goes. But yeah, it's a very groggy feeling coming out of surgery. Once again, that same kind of floating, transitional, dreamlike state that I felt on morphine, very much the same coming out of surgery, just like total detachment. Your brain is like desperately trying to make those fucking synapses fire right, and so it's just grabbing on any notion that you have, and you're just like, I'm dead, I'm dreaming, this is a dream, I'm awake, No, I never went to sleep. I never had the surgery. This whole thing was a dream. Something happened. Like just all this shit. It's not really scary though, because it's like your body and mind don't have the capacity for full blown anxiety. At least mine doesn't feel like it does at that point. It's just too slow. Yeah, I don't think it's bad that you like that feeling. I do too. There's something, like I said, there's something kind of comforting about it after having been through it. Are you ethnically Jewish? What does it mean? What does it matter to you? Heard you talking about internet censorship the other day. An idea that no one talks about is allowing an option to block all followers of blank. I mean, I guess I wouldn't be altogether too mad at like social media platforms to implement such a thing, but I think ultimately, like, I would probably very rarely, if ever, use such a feature myself. I think that shadow banning is 100% the way to go when it comes to your personal feed, what you want in front of your face every fucking day. Like, so your Twitter feed, your Facebook feed, shadow banning is the way. Like, you should be able to, like, Twitter has the mute button, right? It's a function by which that person never knows you blocked them. They can continue to follow you and tweet at you and spew their incoherent garbage, and you don't ever have to hear it again. And there's no way for them to know that you're not hearing. To me, that's the perfect amount of like pruning that everybody needs on these sites. Like, if I could do that here and not have YouTube give a big like, so and so has been banned, so and so has been muted, if I had just like another phone where I was monitoring the chat and I could just ban these idiots and they wouldn't know it. So it's like nobody knew that they were out of the chat but them. Think about, like, I would literally, nobody would even bother doing it anymore. It would make that kind of like multi-account trolling a completely foregone conclusion. People wouldn't even bother, because there would never be any way for them to know if their trolling actually ever got seen by the intended target. Shadow ban makes sense. It skips the whole drama of, oh my god, he banned. Yeah, I hate that shit. I mean, I've engaged in it before. Like, I showed off when JF banned me, but I just thought that was funny. But yeah, just like oh, he banned me, oh, she banned me, oh, he banned me, so I banned him back. Oh, and then there's like both of them bitching about how each other banned. Yeah, just get rid of that. Shadow bans. That doesn't solve spamming? It kind of does, though. It kind of does, if you think about it. Wouldn't that deter people from commenting in general? Not that I disagree with the premise. I mean, for example, on this show, people that commented in general would know that, because I talk to you guys, I read your shit. I don't read everything you post, but if you're like really active in general, chances are I'm going to read your shit. I'm going to interact with you. You're going to know I'm there. But I'm willing to give up that, like, am I shadow banned? Like, that personal anxiety about that myself, in order to have an internet where you can have something closer to an actual conversation without like this rampaging herd of retards coming in every 15 seconds. Yeah, exactly. It's up to the creator to ensure the audience of the connection. So anybody that's doing a show like this that's involved, that involves interacting with the live chat, the onus is on me to let you guys know that I know you're out there. I think I'm one of the better people at it, to be honest with you. So, but that's neither here nor there. A shadow ban system would clean this fucking place right up. A lot of places on the internet would be way better for it, for sure. We say this chat is bad, but literally every other chat besides this is like that. Well, this chat is actually not that bad, man. I mean, it has its days where it's real bad, but like all the pruning and muting and banning and bullshit that I've done over the years has actually finally borne fruit. And I kind of have like this, somewhat stable community now, where people can have adult conversations. Somewhat. All you have to do to know if you're shadow banned is type a message and then go to a private window and check if it showed up. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true. You got a point there. I'm sure that there are ways around that though. Like for Twitter, for example. See, it's different with a live chat. You're right. That is a way around it. That's a way to circumvent that for sure. But like on Twitter and stuff, there'd be no way for you to know. It absolutely solves it in those venues for sure. Do you think the Me Too movement is finally starting to die down? Um, I don't know. I mean, I hesitate to say yes because there seems to be like a lot of the same sentiments that led to the Me Too movement seem to be very, very forward in our society still. But some of the walkbacks that have happened were these guys that have been like put up on the pillory, you know what I mean? Tarred and feathered publicly, have come back and brushed themselves off and started their careers again, or in some cases, like James Gunn, been outright exonerated of anything that anybody with a normal brain in their head would call wrongdoing, and come back and go from strength to strength, you know what I mean? So I think that those are going to deal a blow to the credibility of the movement. Um, you know, when you've got these dudes that were supposed to be these big evil guys that we all got fired, and then all of a sudden it turns out after looking at it, they didn't really do anything wrong, and they end up coming right back and pretty much rebuilding what they had and then some. Like a couple more of those happen, and I don't really think that the Me Too movement as a societal structure really works anymore. There's going to be too many contrary examples for people to point at and go like, oh, well, who's to say this isn't like that shit with James Gunn, where everybody's just getting up in a tizzy over out of context, edgy jokes that are absolutely meaningless and hurt no one. You know what I mean? It's the boy who cried wolf syndrome. It's the same thing that's slowly but surely eroding the third wave feminism / SJW movement. It's this idea that, they gained kind of a level of ascendancy, at least in the cultural realm, for a while. And a lot of the things that they pointed out didn't come to pass. A lot of the forward faces of the movement ended up being exposed as total like fucking garbage bags. And that's really all it takes. Like all it takes is people realizing like, whoa, these are fallible human beings too. You mean these people preaching that they've got the answer to all of society's ills are full of shit just like everybody else? All it takes is a vague insinuation of that, and it just grows. The stink of that grows and it grows and it grows, and eventually a movement's choked under it. It's not like these movements are going to be the first that's happened to, and it won't be the last either. Why people love being divisive? Because people love feeling like they're right. It's not even really being right that people are after. A lot of them might feel like that's what they're after, but it's really feeling like they're right. And the internet is a profound tool for that, because you can garner a little following of people, even if it's only 5 or 6 people. If they're like-minded and you post something, a hot take on something, a political opinion that other people usually dog on. If you've got 5 or 6 people that are willing to come and slap you that, high five, hit the like button or whatever the fuck, that's enough positive reinforcement for people to keep coming back and keep doing it. And so it no longer becomes about like, I want to be as close to right as I can be by keeping an open mind and learning as much as I can, basing my opinions in reality. It becomes about, can I please my echo chamber? Can I get 5 or 6 or 10 or 6,000 or 6 million people to go, yeah, That's what it's about. People love victim culture. Not all people do, but a lot of people do. I mean, who doesn't love being coddled? Anybody would lie if they said they didn't like being taken care of when they're sick, right? You got a cold and mom brings you some chicken soup and you know, a hot towel to put on your head or whatever the fuck. There are just people out there that seek that, that need that, or maybe they were denied that to a certain extent when they were growing up, and now they want society to give it to them. But there are people out there like me, and like I assume a lot of you in here, that don't like that. They don't want to be. I don't want to be coddled. I want to be engaged like a fucking adult. I want to be engaged on my own terms, on my own ground, standing toe to toe with another adult, and I want to have a fucking exchange with them. That's how I want to be dealt with. I don't want to be coddled. I don't want to be tiptoed around. You got something to say to me, I want it said. Sure, I mean, everybody wants that still, but I just don't want it from society as a whole. I want it from Ashley. I want it from my mom when I go visit her, you know, and she makes me chili or whatever. That's where I get that loving, you know, that kind of like personal coddling kind of feeling. You know, I don't look out at the rest of you guys and go like, give it to me, coddle. Let's tiptoe around my feelers. It's like total bullshit. TJ went over this in a video, right, about Carlin saying that you should never challenge your fans, just tell them what they want to hear. I don't know. I don't remember that being part of a video, but maybe it was. What you really want is to be coddled. Yes. Coddled by God? Okay. You know, that war with China is inevitable. I don't know that anything is inevitable. I think that there's a really, really strong chance that we end up, you know, very much geopolitically opposed to China. I think we're already starting to see the seams of that relationship fray at the edges. And yeah, I mean, if past behavior is the best predictor of future behavior, then there's a good chance that we're going to see a big clash. I don't know how many years it'll be. 10 years, 30 years, 100 years, who knows? But all I do know is that, you know, I looked at that. I went on my Twitter. I reposted this thing that Ashley liked that just blew my mind. And all it is just a nighttime sweeping like skyline shot of Chengdu, or I can't even remember what the city is, but I was just immediately like bowled over by the fact that we've lost as Americans, like when it comes to like being that, you remember that shining city on a hill shit that Reagan used to sell? Maybe you don't. You probably don't. I remember it. We lost, man. We're no longer the shining city on the hill, man. And I'm not talking about China's politics. I'm not talking, you know, because I don't want this to be an endless litany of China's got poverty, China got problems. I'm just talking about the cultural power that radiates out of having a modern skyline and having a bunch of them. It's not just one city in China that looks like that. It is pretty much every major city in China is like an absolute, it looks like something 20 years in the future. If you look at a city in America now, and then look at a city in China, it literally looks like something 20, 30, 40, 50 years in the future. They spend a lot of money looking good. Yeah, but that's important though. See, I'm not saying that just because things look good in China, it means that everything is good in China. Don't mistake one for the other, okay? What I'm saying is that China is a country that very much understands the power of looking good. When your cities look like Chinese cities do, the culture from those cities radiates well beyond the borders of those cities. It radiates all over the world. When you've got these giant, massive, metropolitan collections of human beings living on top of one another, and they look and sound like Chinese cities do, that radiates a certain amount of power. It's psychological power. When you're enjoying Sekiro, what's your least favorite aspect of it? I don't know. I really like it. Yeah, I'm having fun with it. It's a slow game for me because I'm not real good, so I have to take it very, very cautiously. But I think that's what I like about it. I like the stealth aspect that they've added in that really wasn't there with a lot of the other Souls titles. I mean, you can do some stealthy shit, but Sekiro, it just seems like it's absolutely fundamentally part of how you're supposed to play the game. And I've always liked stealth titles. I fell in love with stealth gaming with Thief, the Dark Project back in the day on the computer, and then the Splinter Cell series. I've always really liked that, like, you've got to be sneaky and devious and come up with, ways of taking these guys out and hiding the bodies so that you don't get found. Those dovetailed, nicely into at least the first fucking Metal Gear Solid game. I played the first Dishonored, yeah. I really liked it. Once again, another game where you don't have to. That game gives you the option to be really, like, aggressive if you want, but it's another game that, really rewards those of us that like to play that sneaky, you never knew I was here kind of style. Sekiro looks like Dark Souls meets Tenchu for the PS1. Well, From Software developed both of those titles, so I think it makes sense. I love Siphon Filter and Perfect Dark. Yeah, those were both really good, stealthy, kind of more FPS kind of titles. Well, Siphon Filter wasn't. It was like a third-person action game, wasn't it? It's been so long since I played Siphon Filter. That fucking name, Siphon Filter. Like they just took two edgy words and threw them together. If you look at crowds of Japanese in Tokyo, the way they move around, board trains drive, it's very orderly like ants. Chinese are more chaotic and prone to squabbling. Okay. That's cool, I guess. Cultural differences, man. Siphon Filter sounds like a mouth condom. It kind of does. I didn't know Tenchu was made by them. That's why I enjoy these streams. I'm always fucking learning something. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Tenchu is a From Software title. And Siphon Filter's 2B day this year. 20th birthday. Okay, 2. Yeah, got it. February 17th. That's cool. You ever had a phobia? I don't remember what the actual like scientific name of the phobia is, but I do suffer from fear of heights. Like not necessarily, obviously not extreme fear of heights. I'm on the second floor balcony and I'm fine. I could be on the third or fourth or fifth floor. It's like extreme heights, like being on the 100th floor of a giant skyscraper, or being at the very, very lip of a cliff that's sheer and goes down 2 or 3, 4, 500 feet, that sort of thing. Being hanging, we went when we went to New Mexico for the Drunken Peasants meetup there. We took the tram to the top of the Sandia Mountains to the observatory that's up there, and being on that tram, hanging out over just like what looked like an endless drop to, icy canyon floor, that type of shit I don't do well with. So yeah. High suicide rates are really just a consequence of a ton of other deep-rooted social problems. Well, I guess we're talking about suicide rates now, huh? Had a dream a dog told me that he was gonna be rough. Oh. Psych problems in Japan are a real issue. Oh yeah. They're very, like, that orderliness that somebody was discussing in the chat recently, or just earlier. I think it extends to them in terms of expression of emotion. And yeah, I mean, repression or suppression of emotion is one of the most common contributing factors to anxiety disorders, depression, any number of personality disorders. Went and watched that End of Time shit, embraced nihilism. Yeah, dude. Their culture is ridiculously prideful. Cool. Our culture has no pride. Our culture has fake pride, fake, puffed up, jingoistic patriotism. No actual pride. If we had any actual pride, we'd look at ourselves and see how fucking ridiculous we are. Driving around on infrastructure from the 50s and 60s and the 70s and watching all the money for that shit being scalped out of here. We'd feel like a bunch of fucking dummies. We'd want to build a basis to have pride in ourselves again. But fake pride is just as easy. Well, actually easier, right? Fake ass, I'm special just because my mom shat me out on this piece of land and not that. And it's like, that ain't nothing to be proud of, man. Say what you want about Japanese culture. They got some shit to be proud of. Look at their cities. Look at their permaculture. Look at what they're doing. Just like, look at how they're constantly improving the infrastructure of their cities. That's something I'd be prideful of. That's something I'd be proud of if I lived in a culture that produced something like that. Say what you want about the other problems going on. China has so much smog, we had to leave early. Oh yeah, dude. I've seen pictures, I've seen the news stories where it looks like a foggy day, but it's actually just horrible toxic gas hanging over all their cities. Yeah, they got big fucking issues to sort out. But you know what? China will likely be on the forefront of whatever the solution to those issues is when the time comes. When it comes time for China to move away from a petroleum-based economy and into something else, they'll do it. And those cars will be off the road faster than a rabbit gets fucked. You better believe that. America doesn't have smog, but it has smug. Yeah, you know, it has smog too. Go to LA sometime and tell me America doesn't have smog. See how your breathing feels after living a week or two in the LA basin. Do you think Trump will close a deal with China? I don't know. Aren't the work days ridiculously long in Japan? Absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the big cultural problems that they face is like people are working themselves literally to death. The culture there in Japan is one of overachievement. And so people that work in offices and contracted for an 8-hour day are expected to stay 12 in order to get that extra amount of work done so that the dude in the next cubicle over doesn't look that much better than you. It's a very, very competitive and prideful society, like somebody said. Part of that pride is taking pride in being a hard and efficient worker, being a person that confers value upon the team that they work with. It's very important to people in Japan. It's important to some people here too. There are any number of dynamic teams of people that feel that way working together here in America, but it seems to be the rule in Japan rather than the exception. Government should regulate what? Work-life balance? I don't know. I didn't say that. Basically owned by the job contract. Getting fired would mean ruin. Well, not only ruin, because financial ruin is one thing, dishonor is another, and it's almost a silly and anachronistic word to use in America. The whole concept of honor has died out of our society. Any real honor, I think, died with the Greatest Generation probably, and since then it's been really like mass marketed honor. And saying that like you have no honor, it's a mockable phrase for an American to say that to another American. It immediately evokes some, Worf standing at the fucking weapon controls, calling out somebody for making a bad decision. But that idea of personal honor and being dishonored by a failure is very pervasive in Japanese culture. Absolutely pervasive. The idea of letting your parents down, your coworkers down, your bosses down, your children down, your spouse down, your ancestors down, all of this stuff hangs heavily around the necks of Japanese people. How many of the problems that you bring up on these streams stem from overpopulation? I don't know, man. I'm iffy on overpopulation. There's a part of me that feels like, holy shit, we got to stop having kids right now, man. Holy fuck, there's too many of us on this planet. We're busting at the seams. We're killing the planet. We got to stop. We got to stop. We got to stop. And there's a part of me that's like, this planet has got vast amounts of resources, way more than enough resources to support maybe even double the amount of people that are on the planet right now. It's the politics, it's the international relations that are involved. It's the corporate influence over all of those things that cause the problems of hunger, resource stratification. All of these things could be solved with a unifying one world government and a decision by humanity to start owning up to the fact that we're all the same species of monkeys living on the same rapidly decaying, burning out world. And it's time we started working together. Like, if we could come together and do that. So that's why I'm always torn on the idea of overpopulation. On one hand, I think it's just a like obvious fact of the world that there are too many hungry mouths to feed. On the other hand, I just think it's our selfishness that makes those mouths hungry. I think if we all decided that there would not be another hungry mouth on this planet, there wouldn't be. Period. There would not be a single person on this planet that wanted for bread. We just don't want that. We want other things more, you know. The American dream, I don't think ever really existed. If it did, it was for such a brief and almost unnotable moment. It's always been scalped, man. It's always been rigged. It's always been a pipe dream. And that's the sad truth of it. You can look at it as sad, or you can look at it as a call for us to be better, a call for us to try something new, to learn from the mistakes that this attempt at a global culture made, and carve something new out of it. We won't, but you can hold on to a little hope for that. Hope is for the weak. Sure. We're all a little weak now. I think World War III will happen anytime in your lifetime. I'm starting to listen to these thinkers that are saying that, like, we need to stop waiting for World War III and just admit it's happening. This giant proxy war that we're fighting with Russia and China, that is a constant either threat of military conflict or expansionistic, imperialistic military drive into these other countries. I think we're in the midst of World War III, and I think it's going to be longer and more deadly than any of the world wars that preceded it by the time they do the actual body count of it. We aren't fighting a proxy war with China. Brianna, do me a favor, and Wikipedia is your friend here. Go to Wikipedia and look at the current list of active proxy wars in the world, and come back and make that statement to me again. I wonder when energy weapons will be a reality. They already are, as far as I'm concerned, right? I remember hearing that China, in particular, was testing radiative weapons that can deafen or blind. Laser-based, energy-based weapons are already being used. You're on that right now, huh? Well, I mean, I would hate for you to fucking go inform yourself on something before you pop off in the chat. So, don't take my word for it. You do whatever the fuck you want. Sound waves can do a nutty shit now. Oh yeah, that's another one too. Well, you remember, this all kind of got swept under the rug, but you guys remember that weird story? I think we covered it on DP, or it might have been a very, very early deep flash fried. I can't remember. It's like weird story of the American embassy in Cuba, and how people were just getting sick and having these horrible headaches and mental breakdowns and shit there, and they finally figured out that they were under clandestine sonic assault from some new kind of sound emitter that fucks your brain all up and makes it unable to work properly. Yeah, they busted that shit out. They dropped the existence of that shit on us, and then it was just on to the next thing. But I've never stopped thinking about that shit. If that shit is in the U.S. Embassy in Cuba, you can bet your fucking ass it's on the next battlefield we fight with a first world country. You bet your fucking ass. They're gonna be shooting sonic shit. Making fucking soldiers double over and puke their guts out. What the fuck, man? Who killed JFK? I don't know, man. Who killed him? You tell me. Canadian embassy was hit too, and they feigned ignorance. That's probably because they've got the technology and they don't want to admit it exists. I have a feeling that's why the story was swept under the rug here in America as well. I don't think America wants to have people asking like, hey, do we have that? Biowarfare is another thing too that's going to be, I mean, it's played a major role in both world wars. I don't see why it would stop now, and it's going to be ever more deadly now. We're talking designer virus time. If you think that America, China, Russia, all first world nations aren't currently researching horrible weaponized super viruses that can wipe out an entire population, then I don't even know what to tell you, dude. You live in the land of make-believe at that point. I don't know if laser weapons will ever be full standard. I think it's like this idea that we're gonna have like lasers at everybody's hip that are cutting people in half is a very Star Wars idea. I think likely you're just gonna see specialized laser weapons for blinding people, for setting fires from long distances, that sort of thing. But I might be wrong about that. I just don't think we're gonna. I don't think we're ever gonna have laser blaster pistols and shit. You think Trump's Space Force is a smart idea? I don't know if I don't know if that like the Space Force idea itself is a smart idea. I think investing money into exploring the space around our planet is fundamentally smart thing to do. I don't know if I'd do it via a Space Force, but sure. It's one of those things that, like, I know people make fun of him about it, but I'm not gonna bitch about him dumping money into space exploration and shit. Rail guns, yeah. Those are like magnetically accelerated slugs, right? Am I right about that? For a railgun, it's magnetic, right? So the slug is pulled through the tube by magnetic forces. And am I wrong? I think I'm right about that. India just took out a satellite with a missile. Neat. It already exists. It's called the Air Force. Oh. Railgun is a device that uses an electromagnetic force to launch high voltage. Yeah. Sweet. Cool. Japanese already used bubonic plague in China in World War II, and their research on Chinese test subjects was seized by the U.S. Of course it was. Dude, every first world country, and probably some non-first world rogue states, have got biological weapons that, if delivered onto a battlefield or a command post that had a ton of soldiers, or if somehow delivered to an American city or a city somewhere in the world, would just be devastating. World-endingly devastating, possibly. And all of that shit exists. So we got that, we got the bugs, we got the nukes. I mean, we've got our finger on any number of buttons that could just stop life as we know it on this planet. And we're all positioning ourselves for a great big old slugfest. TJ's fart is a scary weapon. Man, you ain't kidding. You ain't kidding at all. TJ's Toots, man. Something special, something unique. Oh, man. What do you guys think about this half-baked Dusty drama going on right now? Does this not reek of, I've got a new podcast ripping off the format of your old podcast and I want to sniff your throne for a minute? Can we just be honest? Does the timing of Dusty's problems with TJ seem all too fucking convenient right now, dude? Just started your new Douchey Boys podcast or whatever it's called. I don't even know. I don't even really know what the drama with Dusty is. Like, he can't seem to get a cohesive fucking, like, listings of his grievances with TJ for agreeing with Paul Joseph Watson on one aspect of something he said. Dusty is in the camp right now, and this is the unenviable position that people like Dusty and Vadim occupy this position. And it's a very, very tough. I'm glad I'm not one of these people because, man, I'd be constantly pulling my hair out trying to do fucking hula hoop maneuvers to get this shit to work. But here's the position. If somebody has bad ideas, they cannot have a good idea. Let me repeat that to you so it sinks in. This is the position that Dusty is trying to defend. If somebody has a bad idea, they cannot have any good ideas. TJ retweeted something from Paul Joseph Watson, who says some kooky fucking out there racist, misogynistic bullshit. But he made a point that actually resonated as true with TJ, and TJ set aside his disagreements with the guy to go, hey, you know what? He's right about this. He said he owns us. All right. Well, I'm gonna have to see the receipt for that one. He seems to be fond of giving receipts. Let's see the receipt where Dusty owns anything. The original beef with Dusty, I thought that was made up. Was that real or like show for DP? Dusty cannot have a stable. That's why it's gonna be hilarious to watch this fucking like brown eye boys or whatever their new fucking. I can never remember the name of their stupid fucking shit. The Brown Eye Boys, him and Vadim and whoever else they got roped into that's going to melt down. You know why I know it's going to melt down? Because Dusty Smith is a part of it. You made the silly decision to invite Dusty Smith to the Brown Eye Boys. And Dusty Smith cannot exist in homeostasis with a single person ever. Because one of the only ways that Dusty Smith gets any attention at all is by picking fights with people. And stoking the fires of internet drama with people. Hence today. Oh my god, dude. Why did you decide to leave the drunken peasants? Let's just go ahead and get you out of here. See ya, movie man. Bye-bye. How many fucking years has it been? Going on 2 now? Get with the fucking net, dude. This new Predator wasn't that good, but the idea... I'm not even going to try and read that. It seemed like a word salad post. Thank you for banning him. No problem. My pleasure. Wish I was brave like Dusty. He was making his whole video in his bathrobe with a camera hanging in a corner. Yeah. Yeah, I know, dude. So brave. So brave. Wanted to see what happened with Dusty and TJ, but I don't want to give that bitch the view. You may as well, man. May as well go and see for yourself. Paul Joseph Watson says some good things, but there are some others who make the same points and better. Sure, for sure. That doesn't preclude somebody from agreeing with something that he said that resonates with them, right? See, I don't understand where that level of this control is supposed to come in. I understand that Dusty doesn't like Paul Joseph Watson. So therefore, just Dusty decides not to, quote, end quote, signal boost anything that comes from Paul Joseph Watson. That's a personal decision that Dusty Smith has made, and I don't got a problem with that. What I got a problem with is him trying to apply that personal decision that he's made to set aside a person because they have opinions he doesn't agree with in a category of people that he ignores or doesn't ever talk about their ideas, and trying to export that onto all of us. That's where I got the problem. If he could just quietly be a bitch boy who doesn't engage with anybody who makes him feel uncomfortable, I wouldn't have a problem with it. It's the fact that he not only wants other people to act like him, but he wants to gather a group of people who feel like other people should act like him. And I don't understand, like, when you break it down to that fundamental level, I don't understand how anybody falls on his side of the argument. Because falling on his side of the argument means you want Dusty Smith deciding who you can talk to. Period. Let me repeat that one again. Siding with Dusty Smith in this argument means that you trust him to decide who you can and can't talk to or about. End of fucking discussion. He's not becoming like Steve Shives. Him and Vadim, like, go watch their shit. He, Vadim, fucking what's his name from the Bible Reloaded, have all decided that they are the language cops, man. They've all decided that they're gonna decide what you can and can't say on your Twitter profile, and if you happen to mention somebody whose name is like anathema to them, they will fucking descend on you like a bunch of bitch boy, soy milk leaking vultures, just seeking to tell you what naughty words you can't say and what naughty people you can't hang out with. It's like being in fucking second grade again. And there are people that like line up for this. They go, yeah, I want to be back in second grade. I'm a grown-ass man. I don't care if Adolf Hitler's fucking zombie comes back from the grave. If he says something I agree with and I want to talk about it, I'm gonna. I don't know how to be more fucking dead on balls than that. I don't know how to be more honest than that. You know, I will never allow a single person to tell me that I can't listen. You can't listen. You can't speak. You can't have an opinion on this. You're signal boosting somebody who doesn't deserve it. All this is an attempt to control your thought, to control the patterns of your thought. That's all it is. You want to acquiesce to that? Go give Dusty a thumbs up on Twitter. Join that clan. See how that turns out for you. Dusty is a narcissist that uses morality as a weapon. Yeah, no shit. There's a lot of them out there too. A Kafka trap is when you are accused of something and your denial is taken as evidence that it's true. There you go. There you go. Dusty is also vehemently anti-military. I wish we didn't have war, but we will always need warriors. I don't really care. Let me tell you something. Dusty is anti anything he thinks he'll put a dime that will put a dime in his pocket. If right now the culture switched to a culture that just like celebrated the abuse of women, Dusty would be right back there making edgy videos. See, you guys don't remember, but I do. Back in like 2007, 2008, Dusty had a channel and he was always in trouble. You know why? Because he liked to use the word nigger. He liked to use it a lot, unapologetically. He was always in trouble because back then, being edgy like that is where the dollar bill was. Now a scant few years later, this dude wants to tell you to wash your mouth out with soap if you say this or associate with that. This is Dusty Smith right here. Perpetually with his finger in the air, perpetually willing to reinvent himself as the new SJW / anti-SJW crusader. Whichever way the wind is blowing, there's where Dusty will be. Finger up in the air. So, him and Vadim and that whole fucking clown car over there, as far as I'm concerned, I'm glad that they're like all conglomerating in one little sad heap so I can take a look at it all at once. Dusty has always been BK. He's always been a slightly more intelligent BK, a slightly more intelligent, slightly more capable, and slightly more driven Brett Keane. And there you go. Dusty said he didn't jump on the anti-SJW bandwagon when he returned from his hiatus. Dusty did, and I remember him making tons of anti-SJW videos. Yes, he did. Dusty was one of the biggest drumbeat of anti-SJW video makers on YouTube for quite some time towards the beginning of it. And then at one point, he saw which way the wind was blowing, saw that the wind was going out of the sails of the anti-SJW movement, so he jumped ship. And because he has an audience that can't follow him from multiple accounts getting banned, he can just rebrand himself. All those videos are gone. All those fucking videos he made, they've been taken down off of YouTube. He can be whatever he wants. It's right out of the Brett Keane playbook. But this is like, Brett Keane didn't write that playbook either. This is the, what you're seeing right now is the natural life cycle of the charlatan. And it's been around since fucking the first ape tried to trade another ape for a banana. The charlatan is, and always will be, a huge swath of American civilization. People that have no principles. They just weren't raised with a sense of principles. They weren't raised with the type of mind that could create one. And so they stick their finger in the air and they go whichever way the wind is blowing. Hey, everybody seems to be supporting Trump. I'm a Trump supporter. Oh wait, things are going south for Trump. I'm not a Trump supporter anymore. I'm a liberal. Oh wait, this liberalism thing is going passé. Oh, look who just took another turn for the conservative. It's a charlatan, and that's all he is. That's all his ilk are. That's all he'll ever be. You know, I don't mean to like blow TJ's little wiener here, but Dusty doesn't have 1/10 of the personal conviction that TJ has. Not a 10th. Say what you want about TJ. TJ's willing to have a take and stand by it. TJ says what he believes. He doesn't waggle his finger in the air seeing which way the wind is blowing. If there's a topic out there on the table, TJ will tell you what he thinks about it. You might not agree with him. You might not like the process by which he arrives at his fucking conclusions, and you might not like the process by which TJ changes his mind on things, but make no bones about it. He's being honest about his positions, and that's something Dusty could never claim. Not in his wildest fucking dreams could Dusty ever credibly claim to be a dude that stands on principle. Period. When did you first realize Dusty's a charlatan? When I met him face to face. When I met him face to face and he launched into like a self-aggrandizing rant about how he invented selling t-shirts, I knew that Dusty was a charlatan. When he asked us if he could join up with us and have his fans come for a meetup with him at the same time as the DP meetup, and not a single person showed up for Dusty, I know I was dealing with a charlatan. I was dealing with a person with a fan base who liked to hear his hot takes but wasn't willing to travel across the fucking town to see him. A charlatan. Well, I don't remember wearing shirts before what's his name. Yeah, me neither. Would you vote for Bernie if he got nominated? No, I don't vote. Yeah, I don't know why this filter's so red. It's got kind of an amber thing. Good for you, George Costanza. I'm happy for you, bro. George Costanza was on the Discord the other night. He's like, Paul, I rolled my first J, and I was like, Pixar, it never happened, dude. His first J was like, he took what looked like half a cigarette and emptied the tobacco out of it and poked some weed in it and then twisted it closed. That was his first J. Good man. Hey, you got to do what you got to do, man. You got to do what you got to do. I'm not talking about scammers. Don't ennoble Dusty by calling him a scammer. I'm talking about charlatans. I'm talking about people that don't have the wherewithal or the ability to stand on a principle long enough to scam people with it. Dusty's a lost soul, man. He's a lost little kite floating in the wind, just waiting for the next breeze to fill him up so he can fly on the next fucking... fly his streamer for a little longer over here. I mean, that's all there is to it, bro. This stream needs bubbles, Mr. Naughty Priest has asked. The bubbles will commence. I know. Get out of here, bubbles. Shoo. TJ should go after people with 1 trillion subs. Yeah, dude, 1 trillion. Remember when he used to be a huge womanizer too? He cut that shit out a good bit. Oh yeah, Dusty used to love talking about, here's how I fuck bitches, here's how I trick a girl into fucking me, here's how I do this, and here's how I do that. Yeah, but now that it's passé to talk about that type of shit, Dusty's tight-lipped about his sex life. Dude, he couldn't stop talking about his fucking girlfriend when he was up with us in fucking New Orleans. He had this little, like, skinny, girlfriend. Oh yeah, we're doing this and we're doing that, and she does this and we do that, and we're gonna go do this. Like, for a dude that's all about the empowerment of women, that woman looked scared to speak. I'm not saying he was abusing her or anything. She was just like mousy, quiet, devoid of any personality other than like, I'm a skin and bones dude. I'm a skin and bones chick that hangs on fucking Dusty. Yeah, Mr. Naughty Priest, that's what I'm talking about. Them bubbles. I like big women. I like small women. I like medium-sized women. I like all shapes and sizes. It's the dudes that I'm kind of picky about. Dusty seems like he'd be one of Trevor's Goonies from GTA 5. Yeah, maybe the like fucking the Juggalo one, whatever his name was. I'm trying to remember his name. Yeah, Trevor's Juggalo friend. Bubbles, is this the Lawrence Welk show? Yeah, it is now, man. Get out of here, Bubbles. Shoo. Vámonos. Excuse me. Pardon me. You guys stay there. Enjoy the bubbles. I'll be right back. What's up, bud? What is up, bud? E-boy. How we doing? I like cheese too. What's the secret to making dank enchiladas? All right, bro. All right, I'll give you my recipe. All right. You're going to want to get some jalapenos. Now, you can do fresh jalapenos, but you're going to have to cook them down separately. You're going to have to put them in some oil with the onions and stuff and get them nice and, soft and cooked through. Or you can get the canned, the diced ones, yeah. And what you're going to want to do is get a can of like whatever your favorite. I use like the El Paso uh, enchilada sauce. You're not going to just use that straight, but you put that in a pot and you're going to heat it up. You're going to add some heavy cream or some whole milk to it, some salt, some pepper, and then you're going to go ahead and add in your diced, cooked down chilies and onions to that. A little bit of oil. You want to get that sauce. You want to elevate that canned sauce a little bit. I don't know how to make enchilada sauce from scratch, so whatever. Then you're gonna grill off your beef. You want to cook that with some onions, and if you like spicy food, you can throw some jalapenos in with your beef as you cook it. You can use a seasoning pack, but I find that it's really not that necessary. I just like to salt and pepper the beef to taste. Throw in some onions, throw in some garlic, throw in some jalapenos. Let that all cook down and cook together. You don't have to cook it all the way either. You don't have to cook it until it's all the way hard brown. Just get a good brown, get a good scorch on it, and then start assembling your enchiladas. So I make like little burritos. Some people add rice to their enchiladas. I've done it before. It's tasty. So you can make some Mexican rice or some pilaf, throw that in there. Throw in a scoop of your meat filling and a little spoonful of your enchilada filling. You make a burrito, you put it in a deep pan, a deep baking pan, yeah. You line them up and you fill your pan. Once you've got one layer, you put a bunch of fucking enchilada sauce. You just soak them. Once you got that pan full, you got all your enchiladas made. You want to put what's rest of that enchilada sauce over them. You don't want them to be too wet, so don't drown them in it, but they're going to absorb a lot of that. Like the meat's going to cook down with it. So, get them good and wet. Throw a bunch of cheese on top. If you like black olives like I do, throw a bunch of black olives on top and throw that shit in the oven. Bake it off. And when it's done, you're going to have cheesy, delicious, hot, flavorful, well-seasoned, spicy enchiladas. Yeah. That's the way I do it. For your $1.99. He's giving us a fake recipe that he never uses. Nah, man, I made that recipe 2 times in a row in the month of December. I made it for like a Christmas Day dinner for me and Ashley. And then I made another pan of them for a get-together at her work. I think, no, I made mashed potatoes for that. I made them for something else. Oh yeah, TJ's birthday. I made a pan of them. Yeah, it's real good, man. You can go back and watch this. If you follow that, you'll make some dank enchiladas. Yeah. The hardest part, I think, is getting them the right amount of wetness. Like, I have a tendency to add a little too much sauce because I like mine kind of saucy, but once you get that down, they're really kind of a simple meal to make. You can do green chilies, too. You don't have to do jalapenos. I'm just a fan of that heat. When did you last have an actual Christmas turkey roast? It's not a family tradition of ours to do a turkey on Christmas. We did turkey on Thanksgiving. Christmas was always like enchiladas, honestly. My mom would make like a giant Mexican feast. That was our Christmas morning kind of tradition. We didn't have like a Christmas, because like our Christmas dinners were always like at some other family member's house when I was growing up. So it was like, we would have like Christmas Eve dinner at my grandma's house when my grandma and grandpa were still alive. And then when she passed away, my aunt did it for a number of years over at her house. And then that family just kind of fell apart at the seams and we stopped doing that. But by that time, my parents were divorced. So it became like Christmas Eve with dad, Christmas Day with mom. That was basically the way we did it. And my dad's Christmas Eve, there was no dinner. We would maybe sometimes go to a family member's house, maybe sometimes order in or something. Every once in a while, maybe there'd be like a normal dinner or whatever. But it wasn't like was never traditional for us to do anything on Christmas Eve as far as dinner goes anyway. So we did the Christmas Day shit, and my mom would just make like this giant Mexican feast. Tacos, enchiladas, stuff to make burritos if you wanted that. All of the shit that you put on it. Homemade guacamole. My mom's fucking homemade garden salsa from her garden. So she grew tomatoes and all kinds of hot chili peppers and onions in her garden, and she'd make this fucking salsa that was just like, holy shit, man. Yeah, just a feast. Just a feast. A feast for a beast. Polquarium. Sounds so good. Yeah, dude. Remember the Beast? Which one? Are you talking about Beauty and the Beast, the Beast? Are you talking about the Beast from old DP days? Paul, I recently left my job to follow my passions, but I really don't know where to start. Creatively, man. That's a ballsy move. You don't know what you want to do creatively, but you quit your job to pursue your passions. You might want to look for a job. Like, I don't mean to be mean, but like jumping headfirst into a creative enterprise and not even knowing at the start of it what you intend to do. I mean, you might end up landing on your feet and doing okay. I'm not trying to dissuade you, but just be careful. Like, don't. That doesn't sound like an enviable position to be in. TJ getting blanked. I love it. It's kind of turning me on. What? Who? Get out of here, Bubbles. Shoot. Have some free money. Hey, thanks, bro. I can't see TJ. I can't even see him in here. I think I have him wrenched too. He doesn't have me wrenched in his chat, so fuck him. 90% of the time when I visit his chats, he doesn't even see me because he hasn't bothered to wrench me. He can't click on my fucking name and put a wrench next to my name. Fuck TJ. Let him wallow in obscurity for a little while. See how he likes it. I hope one day my video editing starts making me a lot more. Yeah, well, you gotta stick to it. Paul, could you name some fields of work that are extremely cutthroat and competitive that are not political or government related? Also, the Bubbles is looking nice and creamy thick tonight. I mean, would you consider like law? Some certain areas of law practice are extraordinarily cutthroat. The criminal defense law and criminal prosecution in particular tend to be pretty cutthroat industries. Academia, see, I wouldn't know much about that, but you can take George Costanza's word for it. Drug dealing, there you go. He said the potatoes were dope. Cool. Yeah. By the way, I want to give you guys a big hearty thanks for giving me the opportunity. Yep. You're welcome, Coleman. Get out of here. Get out of here. The right-wing YouTuber market. Yeah. Wow. And then chat died. Probably gonna have to become a lawyer. My poli-sci degree doesn't give me many options. You don't have to become anything. You can choose to become a lawyer if you want. Bubbles are freaking you out. Me too, bro. Me too. Whoa, Bubbles. Ah. I guess I'll just have to be the president of the United States now. You do that. You do that, my friend. Don't spend thousands of dollars on law school if you don't want to do it. Yeah, don't do anything that you don't want to do. At least don't aim for anything that you don't want to be doing as a career. I mean, you got to work whatever you got to work to get there, but once you're there, like, make it something you're passionate about. And if you don't know what you're passionate about, then work a normal job for a while. It'll come to you. Trust me, dude, working a normal ass, grinding ass, every day you get up and go to Starbucks and make fucking 9 million lattes and come home reeking of coffee and sleep and get up the next day and do the same thing. Your creative functions will come bubbling to the surface. What you want to do with your life will become apparent, trust me. Because your mind will immediately be seeking for something better. That's why, like, that's one of the things that I think people miss. It of course I'm like biased because it's the path that I took through life, but it worked really well for me, man. And I feel like that a lot of you people have a similar sense of like, I don't know what I want to be doing. I don't know what I can be doing, that I had when I was your age, my younger years. And I'm telling you, man, I just got a normal job and I got a humble place that I could keep up the bills on. I got a roommate, you know, and that was it. You know, I got a normal job, and I'm telling you, man, once you see what drudgery looks like, once you see what, like, having a job where nothing surprises you, nothing engages you in any way stimulating to you, what you see what, like, actually trading your time here on the planet for money is like, man, that'll get you right to the heart of what you want to be doing with your life, trust me. Yeah, get rid of the word should from your vocabulary, especially when it comes to like what you do with your life. There's no such thing as a should. There's can, and there's cannot. There's I tried, there's fail, there's succeed. You know what I mean? Just get rid of that like should word from your vocabulary when it comes to how you conduct yourself in your life. Should is like it's one of those shackle words that's used by your parents on you, and it's a very powerful word. You can use that on adults. You should. There are some adults that quake in their fucking boots when they hear another adult tell them what they should be doing. They take the advice extra special, like, seriously, because it's what they should be doing according to other people. Fuck that, man. You do what you want to do. Being 20 and clueless may be one of the worst feelings I've ever experienced. Well, I'm telling you, man, from the ashes of that kind of life comes a better way, man, because you will eventually realize, you will come to a place where it's just like, man, I gotta have something else. And that's a very strong driver. I don't think it's the way things should be, but I'm telling you, in this culture, one of the best things you can do is go out and get yourself a fucking job, man. Just go get a job. Go get a job, work it, get out on your own, get your own little pad, rent a little fucking apartment somewhere, get a shitty little fucking car that barely runs, and live, grind it out. Do it for as many years as you need to, man. There's no fucking expiration date on when you can change. Look at me. I was fucking like 35, 36 before I ever decided to chase anything that I enjoyed as a possible career. It took that long. It took that long for me to fucking come to the realization that, like, man, the clock is ticking here. If I'm gonna try it, let's try it. What was your first place like? So my first place was it was a 2-bedroom apartment, and I shared the rent with my friend Rodney and this girl that lived in the 2nd bedroom, and it was a strange situation. Because I guess Rodney had slept with this chick at some point, so there was kind of like that weirdness between them, but then they decided they weren't doing that anymore, and now they were just friends and roommates, but I didn't. No, I had a girlfriend at the time, so I was Mr. Monogamy, Mr. Faithful, you know. I had a girlfriend, she was back in California, I was living in Arizona, and I was working hard to make the place ready for her to come down and live with us. The girl, was she nice? Yeah, she was nice. She wasn't crazy or anything. She was pretty cool. She seemed to be pretty chill, you know. And that's But, you know, it was nothing special. It wasn't like a shithouse apartment or anything. I was pretty lucky. When I moved to Arizona, there was a big job market there for entry-level tech stuff that now they won't even look at you unless you got like at least a bachelor's or something in computer science. I was able to like basically walk into a call center and get hired as a tech support guy. And they did on-the-job training. So it was like any shit that I didn't know, I did 3.5 weeks of intensive, like 8-hour a day, 40-hour a week training to learn how to do the job. They paid for it all. They paid me through it. And I was able to sit down and start making way more money than somebody my age had any rights to be making. I was fucking 19 years old. And I hated it, man. That job was fucking soul crushing. But that job got ripped out from underneath me, thankfully. Man, I'm glad. The company that I worked for, MCI WorldCom, went belly up. The dot-com crash of the early 2000s happened, and MCI WorldCom, and this was only, I think it was 3 or 4 months after I got trained and started working as a floor agent. The whole company went belly up. I went into work one day and everybody was hanging out in front smoking cigarettes and looking pissed, and I started walking in. They were like, don't even bother going in there, man. Everybody got pink slipped. They shut the whole call center down. We all got pink slipped. We all got layoff. It's like, whoa. And that day was scary for me because here I am now for the first time in my life. I'm ass out to the wind in a state that I don't know anybody other than Rodney. You know, my whole family is hundreds of miles away. And I definitely don't want to call them because for me, like moving out on my own was kind of like a fuck you to them. Because it was them that like finally booted me. And I didn't want to be the like, they booted me and then I got to come crawling back to them sniveling for money or sniveling, can I come back home? I was like, I'm going to do this. And so that day I walked with I had my like, cause I had to dress in like business casual or whatever. So I was dressed pretty nice for interviews. I had like a little polo on and some slacks and my dress shoes and shit that I had for work. And I hit the street, man. I literally like hit the street, walked out of that call center, left my car parked in the parking lot and just went all the way up and down Chandler Boulevard, all the way from Chandler and Dobson to Indian School. I walked that motherfucker and I put in an application at every place. Every gas station, every little boutique shop, every little fucking grocery store. I stopped, I filled out the application right there, I handed it in. And that first day, I applied at, I don't know how many places, probably 20 places. And I got 5 phone calls that night. That night, I got 5 phone calls. I was hired on the spot by a gas station that was like, can you come in tonight and start? And I was like, I mean, yeah. It was like, you know, I've run a cash register before. I never worked at a gas station. Oh, that's no problem. You come in tonight. I was like, okay. So I got hired right then. And then I got a phone call from Starbucks that was like, hey, you know, we got your application. We're doing a bunch of hiring right now. Do you want to come in for an interview today? And it would have interfered with me being able to show up to this job I just got hired at. And I made the logical decision of like, can I go into this Starbucks and knock this interview out of the park and get hired? Probably. Would working at a Starbucks be better than working the graveyard shift at a gas station? Yes. So I called back the gas station and I was like, sorry, got another offer. Click. Into Starbucks for the interview, was hired the next day. The next day happened to be January 1st of the year 2000. So January 1st, 2000 is when I was hired at Starbucks. And I worked there until 2007, 2008. Somewhere in between there. Long time with that company. A lot of years to work for a company like that. Starbucks. Different times though, man. Yeah, I can't deny it, man. I don't know what the job market is like now. Yeah, them times was... But I mean, I'll tell you what, at that time, people were bitching just like they do now. No jobs, man. I can't get hired. Nobody wants to call me back. Nobody wants to hire me. Like, I'm not going to tell you that things weren't easier then. Maybe they were. I'm just telling you that, like, the sentiment of, like, man, there's no jobs to be had was still happening when I was out there. I think it was just me just hitting the fucking street, man. That's just something that I feel like people don't do anymore. They apply online and then they just sit and watch their email box and shit fill up. I feel like if more people that wanted jobs went out and hit the fucking street and did what I did and just picked a big main drag with a bunch of strip malls on it and walked through those motherfuckers and get an app at every place, I almost guarantee you're gonna get a call, dude. Guarantee you. That's just the way it works, man. This whole like digitization of the world, it hasn't caught up with the job market yet, not at the low end anyway. I think pay is the same, but things used to be cheaper. Oh yeah, you ain't kidding about that. Although, like, you know, I wasn't living high on the hog and shit. I had 2 roommates in a 2-bedroom apartment. Me and Rodney shared a master bedroom together. I had a little mattress on the floor. I had I think it was a 12-inch Funai TV VCR combo with a PS1. And eventually, Rodney was able to cobble together a little shitbox computer. We had net zero, so we weren't, you know, I'm not trying to portray like I was able to fucking make a really good living. I ate ramen, I'd say for about 2 years while I worked at Starbucks. Those first 2 years in Arizona, the balance of my diet was ramen. I remember I lost like 40 pounds the first 2 years I was in Arizona because it was just like the ability to make your own economical decisions and set aside, you know, for the cheap food, and then be able to buy more booze or weed or whatever it is, you know what I mean, and party a little bit. Like, why wouldn't it, like, why would you do that at, you know, 19, 20 years old? Yeah, man. So I'm just saying, if you're willing to live like that, I can almost guarantee you could do it right now pretty much anywhere in the country. I mean, there are some places that are just so economically depressed it's not even a possibility. Rural areas, especially mountainous areas, those types of places that are on the frontiers of big civilization tend to be harder. But I'm talking about, you know, if you're near a major city, you know, even if you're in a shitty little town, move 30 miles inland to the major city, and I bet you find a job the first day you hit the streets like that. I bet you do. If you want 100K, what would you do with it? Pay off credit card debt, pay off lingering debts that I have, use whatever was left as a nest egg. Invest it into the business maybe in some way that benefits the business. Watching your and TJ's videos has helped me get through a lot of rough times. I'm sure you've heard it before. I just wanted to thank you. Hey, thanks, man. That's nice of you to say. Still got debt from college? Thankfully, no. I did community college, and at the time I was also working full-time jobs, so I had the ability to just pay for my college at the community level. I mean, it was expensive. Like, I think it was something like $1,300 or $1,400 a semester for community college. That was with some financial aid, but not much. So yeah, I never had to take out a student loan or anything like that. I just paid off my student loans. Feels great. I can imagine that hanging over your head. I can imagine that must have been awful. I've got a lot of credit card debt from my divorce and the split and the couple of years that I lived basically flying by the seat of my pants trying to make this internet thing work as a career. You know, I've still got bills to pay from that era in my life, but I'm working on it. And I've reached a level where I can actually do that reliably month to month, you know, pay down my debt a little bit. So that's, what can we, you know, what else can we do but that? It's progress, right? I hope I'll get there, man. I have a teacher that has 2 jobs and 43, still hasn't paid off her college debt. Yeah, I mean, that's a common story nowadays. You happy with the new place? Talking about this place? Yeah, man, I like it here. Me and Ashley are kind of like up in the air right now about whether or not we want to re-up a lease at this place or possibly face the fucking horrible eventuality of maybe moving a little closer to TJ and Scotty since they're now on the same side of town. It would definitely save us a lot in gas and all that shit to be over there. And Ashley actually works over on that side of town too, so it would be probably a pretty smart economical decision for us to make like a lateral move to a little apartment complex over there. But man, I'm real reluctant to leave this place. I really like this little apartment. I really like this little back porch. I've come to feel at home here. We finally got pictures up on the walls in there. It just feels like our home now. And I've moved so many times in the last 5 years of my life. I can't even begin to tell you guys. And I'm just weary of it, man. I'm just weary of it. Like, this is not like some opulent pad. It's a little apartment, but you know what? It does what I need it to do. It's ours. Me and Ashley are comfortable here. Dinor's comfortable here. You know, yeah, we got to do a little extra driving and shit, which I'd rather not do. But at the end of the day, it's just, I don't know, man. It's kind of tough. It's a tough decision. Do I want to undertake that move again? Especially knowing that, like, you know, eventually we're probably going to move out of this area. There's no settling involved. You know, so it's just like, why not just stay here? You know, if we're here for another year before we all decide to move to some other state, why not just stay here where I'm comfortable? I've got all my crap. I don't got to move at all. I don't know. We'll see. You should get us to come down and move for you. In terms of you making fun of us the whole time, sure. Sure, yeah. Next time I move, I'll just announce my address and let you know, a bunch of people show up and move for me. I'm sure that'll work out well. That sounds like a great meetup. And I'll make fun of them while they do it. Yeah. Where do I sign up? DFF commune wind. Ugh, man, I don't know about that. I like having you people at arm's length. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure living with me a couple of minutes, you'd like having me at arm's length too, trust me. I ain't the easiest person to live with or around or be friends with, so. What are your long-term goals, Paul? I mean, my longest-term goal, I'd like to write a book. I'd like to get a book written. Whether or not I publish it or it ever does well is really not. I just kind of want to have done it. So that's a long-term goal of mine, and making a film. Writing, directing, producing a film. You know, being able to work creatively either with like-minded people or on my own to put a vision to film. And once again, the success of it only matters mildly to me. I would love to make a film that gets a little indie, you know, traction, and maybe have that parlay into a little production house with legs like Blumhouse or something. You know, some little movie-making outfit. Yeah, I got a few ideas for some films. I have one that I'm seriously working on a treatment for. Like I said, I don't like talking to people about this because then I get, you know, when's your script? When's your script? It's not like that, man. I'm learning how to write a script for film, and so I'm teaching myself how to do that. And slowly but surely kind of honing the rough edges of a story I'm really passionate about. Kind of one of those bolt of lightning stories, you know what I mean? It all happened, I've talked a little bit about it before, but the story at least had its genesis in the building that I lived in when I was in Washington State working for the Drunken Peasants. And it kind of grew in my mind into the seed of this absolutely insane film. And so I'm really passionate about that film. I have a couple of other film ideas. Some of them are collaborative with TJ as well. TJ's actually helped me on the film that I was just talking about with some ideas and stuff. So I think it's very likely that he and I work together on that movie, which I'd be fine with. There's any number of other ones where TJ and Scotty and I have kind of fleshed out, you know, at least the skeletal idea that could be a cool film that I would be happy to write for. But the one film that I really got burning in my soul, I think, is the one that I'm really going to focus my efforts towards. It's the one that I work on when I get that. The DFF studio opens, can you pitch your ideas? Not for nothing, but no. No. Because if I hear your ideas, I got to hear everybody's ideas, and I got my own. I got my own ideas. If I open up a studio, it's not going to be to make other people's ideas. Other studio people can do that. If I ever have like a little production company, it's going to be for me, for my shit, for the shit I want to see done. I mean, maybe if it gets, if it gets big enough to where I'm like, signing off on films that I think, might be interesting, but that I'm not going to be directly involved in or whatever, then sure, I'll hear your pitches at that point. But I don't even really have ambitions to reach that point. I'd be super happy with cranking out indie films that have a little niche cult market that people tend to enjoy but don't really get anywhere. If I could find some way to make that and make a living, I'd be a happy clam. So if I can get one of those done, or both of those done, I'll consider myself a pretty accomplished dude. The film that the film that I'm really passionate about making is a horror film. Yes, make an animated movie and hire me, Paul. No, can't do that, buddy. Maybe there might be some work for an animator within Pessimist Productions. In fact, if you are an animator and you want to do some work, hit me up. Hit me up with a portfolio and shit, and I'll run it by the guys. That's dead honest. I mean, we might have some work for you. Yeah, hit me up on Twitter. Send me a DM. Some of your best work. Make a little video or cut me together. Send me some. Send me whatever you can. Show me what you got. You're only in training. Well, when you get out of training, then send me what you got. I mean, when it comes to stuff like that, we got a lot of talent in our audience, and I'm not telling you that we're gonna fucking use your talent, but if I'm gonna work with somebody, I'd rather it be somebody that's passionate in one way or another about our content. Do you like cigars? I used to. I don't really smoke cigars anymore. It's been a long time since I've had a cigar, but I went through a period, I think my early 30s, late 20s, where I was real big into cigars. I had a humidor, and I had my favorite. I'm trying to remember the name of my favorite cigar. I had this one kind of cigar that was available at my local cigar shop that was really fucking good, and I can't remember. It was a Nicaraguan cigar. I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, I used to have a humidor with 5 or 6 of those sticks in it, and there weren't Cohibas. It was some it wasn't like some super popular brand of cigar. It wasn't like Romeo y Julieta or any of the recognizable. I can't remember the name of it. It was just some weird little, regional cigar that was really good. I will learn to animate for you. I will make sure there are titties in it. I promise. All right, Clout, you get on that. You get on that, buddy. It wasn't Perdomos. If I saw it, I would remember it, but just don't list off cigars because you're probably not going to land on it. Probably not going to land on it. I also have cousins. All my cousins and I, when I lived in California, we were all pretty close. We chilled a lot, and they were really into cigars. They smoked those, what were they called? They were they had a Turkish name, I think. They were like a Turkish warrior or something. I can't remember the name of them. Anyway, yeah, they were always throwing cigars at me to smoke and stuff when I was into them. It's just been so many years since I've been into that. I can't remember. I gotta be honest with you. I smoked a lot of cigars. I tried a bunch of different ones. I pretty much liked them all. But I had to quit that shit, and quitting that shit meant putting it on the back burner, and I quit in 2012, so. Gurkha, there it is, man. Gurkhas, yeah. That's one that I definitely remember smoking a lot of, because my cousins were all into them. You ever mix weed and tobacco? Yeah, man. Spliff. We used to smoke that way a lot when I was a kid. It was actually way more common for us to smoke spliffs than full J's when we were kids, because, when you're a teenager, even in California, it's expensive, you know what I mean? So it's hard to get your hands on it. So a spliff was a way to kind of stretch out your weed. So we'd, take a cigarette out of one of the packs, bust it open, mix it up with some ground up weed, and roll a fat spliff. And I smoked that way almost primarily until probably my 20s, honestly. So from about 16 to 20, most of my smoking was done either via bowls or spliffs. I smoked a lot of bowls and spliffs. So a lot of bongs, pipes, and spliffs. This chat is so varied. It's insane how fast it can divulge into pure nonsense. Yeah. Always preferred spliffs, but no one I smoked with smoked tobacco. Yeah. I wouldn't smoke one now. I'd rather just have a J, if you don't mind. Where do you want to live more than anywhere? I don't know the answer to that, man. I haven't been everywhere yet. I know that of the places that I have been, you know, California calls my name, especially the kind of Southern California area. New York City called me in a big way when I was there. I was there when I was 14 years old, and it was like a life-changing experience being in that city. So I think I could find some real happiness living in the city somewhere. Probably the Pacific Northwest as well. Seattle and that area really blew my mind. Of course, the cost of living also blew my mind, hence why I'm living in fucking Louisiana now. So, but yeah, those places for sure. Outside of there, I can only speculate. I've never really been out of the country. So, excuse me. Yeah, I've never really been out of the country at all. Would you get an autonomous car? Absolutely. For sure. Yeah, I'm ready now. I don't know what this, you know, obsession people have with driving is, but I would, like, if I could snap my fingers right now and take every human driver off the road and replace them with an autonomous vehicle, I'd do it right now. Come to the bluegrass state. Kentucky bluegrass. Tried everything and it's led me back to your insane ramblings. Yep, that's the way it works. Yeah, that's how I am now. I usually prefer a nice clean glass bowl or a J now. I occasionally hit a bong or some dabs. I usually just stick to the OG. Yeah, me too. You and me the same kind of person, man. Like, I like the new stuff. I like the dabs and the pins and the this and the that, you know. But just give me a joint, man. Just smoke a joint. Just pack a bowl, okay? Can we just be men and pack a bowl? That's how I feel about it anyway. Bubbles. Did you have times when you were first smoking you got way too high? Kinda, yeah, but it was, I mean, I had a couple of times. There was a period in my life where I had to kind of back up off of it and set my cup down. Tangerine, chronic, yeah, I'm fucked up now. In my early 20s, I kind of went off the rails, guys. I'm a little ashamed to admit it, but the Paul's ego you see before you was an animal. I was an animal in my 20s, man. A lot of people say I look older than I am, that I act older than I am, that I seem broken or beaten down. I got dark circles. Let me tell you what's to blame. It's not just being fat. It's being fat and living through my 20s. I was a different dude in my 20s, man. I was a party animal, and I smoked a lot. I drank a lot, and I reached this point where the quality of stuff that I was getting had gone up. And I was smoking it just like normal. And I remember when this one of them happened. It was horrible. Just like right before bed, I hit a bowl, just took one big hit, and then I had a panic attack for like 8 hours, where I was in the shower thinking my heart was gonna stop. I could hear my heart beat. I was just melting down, you know, having a bad experience. And that first one was real bad. After that, I had a couple more similar to it, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna stop doing this for a while, and I did, and it really never came back that bad, because after you've been through that kind of a panic attack, I think once, it's pretty simple to just kind of go on with it. You know, you kind of understand what's happening, and you can head it off at the pass by knowing it's just bullshit, you know. Hey, you know, I don't like to brag, And so if this comes off as like a humble brag or whatever, then excuse me for my douchiness. But there really are two kinds of people in the world. There are people that can handle their drugs, and there are people that can't. I firmly believe that. There are some people that cannot experiment with drugs. They just can't do it for one reason or another. Either they're too high strung for it and they have panic attacks or meltdowns, or they're too narcissistic or over the top for it and it just makes them into a monster, or they're too addictive and it just becomes like a drain on them. And then there are people like me. Like, I feel like I'm just, and you know, I come from the stock to prove it. You know, I come from a family of drug abusers and drinkers, and you know, all of them of various stages of severity in their habits, but all of them productive members of society somehow. You know, so it just is what it is, man. It's one of the things that I try and like temper a little bit when I'm talking, because I know a lot of young people watch me, and you know, when they ask me about drugs, I don't even really like talking about drugs anymore, to be honest with you. It's not a topic of my, it's not a fun topic for me anymore. It's not something that informs a lot of my life, but people are curious about it, and I often feel like I have to go back and temper some of the things I've said with like, you may not be like me. Like, don't think that because I said I did this or I took this drug and I was okay or I liked it means that you will, you know? Because I don't want to be responsible for anybody doing stupid shit. Just be smart. Make your own fucking mind up about things. Yeah, it's just not even a topic of conversation to me, really. The only time it ever comes up is on these Highdeologies, and I understand people's curiosity. There's a certain element of living vicariously if you're a person that isn't into that or can't be into that because you got a job that would drug test or whatever. You know, and you see a dude that has experimented with drugs or whatever. I understand the curiosity. It's just kind of a, it's not a topic that I find myself going to a whole lot outside of this area, this arena of my life. Mindset is also a huge part of taking drugs. Yes. Yes. That is true. You got a good point. You got a good point there, partner. My idea of partying is getting drunk and rewatching The Sopranos and The Wire for the 5th time. Cool. Cool. At a time where a guy I thought was a friend sold me K2 as weed, was new to smoking at the time, took 3 giant gravity bong hits thinking it was weed. I can't convey. Oh, dude, I can only imagine, dude. I've never even done that stuff. I've never been around anybody doing it. I've seen the videos of people doing it. That must have been, yeah, dude. That would not be a friend after that. For sure. Some people just can't handle their alcohol. Yeah, like you, Duke, you drunk fuck. You're one of them. Case in point. Do you think because you can drink a lot of alcohol and stay functional means you can handle it? I know this is a little off topic to those of you that don't frequent the Discord, but Duke in the chat here is definitely a dude like I was talking about that can't handle his drugs. And he's one of those people that thinks he can too. That's the most dangerous type. The people that can't handle their drugs but think they can. Ooh. Oh my God, somebody get rid of this. What I got mods for? It's got somebody having a fucking stroke in the chat for 20 minutes. Send him to his death, man. Come on. Why are you so interesting? I don't think I am. Paul, why you hate? I'm just being real with you, man. Dude, I'm probably one of the only people in your life that's consistently real with you, dude. And whether or not you fucking thank me for that at some point will be up to you and your path in life, but I got a feeling that I am one of the only people in your orbit that is ever consistently fucking real with you. And, you know, you can take that as a blessing or a curse, I guess. I've never used Discord. Can you tell me what the appeal is? Yeah, I mean, it's like a chat room with voice chat. It's got a running, like, chat log, so people of like mind can get together and meme, and you can jump in the voice chat with 300 people and meme in there if you want. That's basically what it is. You can talk to people while you play video games. You can talk to people. You can watch movies together and use Discord as a way to kind of cut the distance, and so that's what people use it for. That's what I go there for. I'll be right back. Hear that music, Dunmore? Did you like it? Was it groovy? Woke up this morning and all your love has gone. Mama never taught you right from wrong. She said you were one in a million. You got to learn to shine. Born under a bad sign with the blue moon in your eyes. Yeah. Woke up this morning. Got yourself a gun. What games are you playing? I'm playing a little Sekiro right now. I'm playing a lot of Magic the Gathering Arena. Those two primarily, I think. When I got some time for a video game, that's what I'd be playing. What are you thinking about? Garfield is Irish. What? Falling face first in your food is a good sign you can't handle your booze. That is good. Sekiro open world? Not really. You were like the affectionate uncle I never had. Thanks for all the great content. Oh, gee whiz, fella. Why don't you come over here and sit on Uncle's lap? Huh? 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 What are we to do with people who don't have the strength of character not to fund factory farming? I don't know. Kill them all in factory farms. Magic, what color you play? I play a lot of mono black, mono red. So mono black, mono red, and like blue control. I like blue multi-color control. Usually black, blue, white. Are octopuses aliens? Yes. Yes. I like some green-red. I've got a pretty mean green-red deck on Magic the Gathering Arena. What's the fattest booty you've ever witnessed? I don't know, man. I've seen a lot of big ones. seen a lot of big ones. And with that, I think I'm done. I think that's it. I think we've devolved to the point where we're talking about booties and octopi.